How's everybody doing? Welcome back. I am recording this, so it'll be on YouTube for your benefit if you want to watch it later. And the software there is OBS. You can download OBS. It's open source and free to use. It's got, a little volume there. Now I'm just looking to make sure the volume's going, and then that I have the little red dot. Means I'm recording. The little seconds are going up. So just making sure that's all good. You're in Computer Concepts, where we learn about computers. We're going to review keywords for the first week, and then review keywords for the second week, and then move into some new territory there here in the third week. So week 3, module 3, that's what we're doing. But before we do that, how's everything going for everybody? If it's going well, say aye. Third week of school. Aye. If it's not going well, we've got academic counselors, financial aid counselors, psychological counselors, free grocery store, tutorial center, like all kinds of people here to help you get it going well. And challenges are part of life. Yeah, so expect to hit challenges. And then the thing that differentiates is, how do you get through them? Do you give up or do you keep going? So that's the motivational speech. The first week we learned about computer literacy, which is literacy means that you're fluent, can read, can write in some capacity for whatever the domain is. And when we're talking about language, English literacy, read or write language, but computer, read and write English. But computer literacy is like you understand how to use computers, right? You could you could use them. You can make your way around them. You understand the terminology associated with computers. Digital divide is those who have technology and those who do not. Not everybody. It's not an equal world. No. Life's not fair. My kids sometimes say, I'm like, that's right. That's a profound insight. It's not fair. Right, exactly. It's not fair. You want to make sure you end up on the good side of that not fair equation. Unfortunately, as egalitarian and idealistic as we can be in our moments of reflection, wouldn't it be nice? The reality is anything but, So there are the haves and have-nots, and as we learned, hey, we've all gotten lucky, both in the entire continuum of time of humans. We saw those balls. Remember the balls at gapminder.org? Do you guys remember? Say aye. All right. We saw these balls that were showing us the health and wealth of nations. And the health and wealth of nations, 2025. We're in 2026, but the data goes 2025. Right? Back in the day, nobody lived very long. Their life expectancy was low, and they didn't have much economic wealth. But today, right, best time to be alive. And we're sitting out here because we're in America, right? And unfortunately, it's not an equal world. There are the haves and the have-nots. It's not fair. Life's not fair. We can idealize, and wish and be egalitarian, wish it was otherwise, but the reality is it's not. And so the digital divide, to get back to that, is that some of us have access to technology and some of us don't. And we refer to computer stuff as digital. And we're going to learn maybe today, because we're going to learn about this stuff, bits, bytes, binary, and binary digits is what all that stuff kind of comes from. But that's why we call it digital. So some people might be like, I don't understand. Why do they call computers digital? Right? Well, I understand digital means that somehow it's connected to electricity. Right? But today you're going to see a little bit about why we call it digital. So that's the digital divide. And then there's Web 2.0, which is like this, it's like an old concept. It's from like 2002, 2004. It's really kind of an old concept. But, be familiar with it. The original web, version 1.0. And so when you have things referred to with numbers, that's called versioning. And with computers, there's versioning, right? And they create version 1. And how many people have an iPhone? Say aye. What iPhone number is it? Just say the number. 16, 13, right? Like there's versions. Here's the, I sometimes wonder where that's going. Like if in 200 years oh, we're releasing the new iPhone version or iPhone 2194, like just gonna keep going. But that Web 2.0 is versioning. So 1.0 is usually the original version, 2.0 is the second version, right? iPhone 16 is better than iPhone 15. Generally how it works. But because there's no like authority that's mandating that things have to be a certain way, sometimes things are screwy. And like I think ChatGPT came out with version 3, which was better than version 5. I don't know why, but that's the way they did it. Okay. There's something like that happened with one of the AIs in the last year. And then we learned about cognitive surplus, which is just an excess of thinking capacity in humanity. And, and how can you tap into that? And so protein folding is this problem in biology that they've been wanting to solve. And the greatest scientists in the world couldn't solve it. So they kind of put it out there to the world as like a puzzle. And then people in their free time, they're like at home, they're done working, they like puzzles. They're like, let me see if I can solve it. They're tapping into that surplus of cognition and then it turns out, there's some secretary in North Dakota happened to be really good at it. Mm-hmm. Her mind just worked that way. And so that's cognitive surplus. Crowdsourcing is when you're putting things out there to the crowd, to the population, to see if they could solve it. Sharing economy is like Uber or Airbnb. It's like, or Turo, right? So Turo, it's like I got a car, I don't always drive it. I'm going to rent it out to people. And then you could rent your car out, right? Like I'm sharing my stuff. So that's the idea behind the sharing economy. And influencer marketing. So, if you go into advertising and marketing, user-generated content, UGC, like you'll see people making calls for UGC. Like, hey, we want some user, and you could get paid. How many people know you could get paid as a UGC creator? One person? Who wants to make like $50, $100 for like 20, 30 minutes of work, right? Say aye. Okay. So you could go here. Well, you could go to Upwork, right? And at Upwork or Fiverr, you could go to these platforms. Might not let me in because, and you could sign up as a service provider, right? And then I could go in here and I want to search for talent. I'm just going to search for UGC, male. That's me, right? And so male UGC creator, fitness, lifestyle, travel tech, SaaS video content. This guy charges $95 an hour. He's earned $4,000. So how many hours worked is that? 900 into 4,000. He's worked 40 hours, right? Made $4,000. And that's pretty good, $100 an hour. And you could go check out his profile. And, he might have some sample videos here. But these are the jobs he's been hired for. And here's like a supplement brand. But they want me to sign up to actually preview his work. But you could sign up and you could, bye-bye. You could, be a UGC creator. And then all you do is you got to, look at what the other creators are doing. You might need to do a little editing. So you might need to like spend a day ask an AI, how do I edit video? Maybe you already know how to edit video with CapCut, right? It's a video editor. Or Adobe Premiere could do it. And then you just, make these little videos. And those are the videos that companies will hire. And then they end up like, I just bought this product on Amazon and it's really good. And here it is. And they might even send you the product. So when you film, that you have the product there and you could talk about it. How many people that's interesting? Say aye. Okay. So you got to start getting creative about how do you make money, And so like in my day when I grew up, people would look in the classifieds for jobs. That's one way. But then like I was like, okay, who are these people who go spray the addresses on curbs? And in the 80s, they charged $5. Right? I'm like, how hard can that be? You just go to the hardware store, you get some stencils, some spray paint, right? And you get like a piece of wood or something and cut that little square for the white box. And then I just go knock on doors. Be like, can I spray your address on your curb? $5. I do that on Saturday morning, do 10 or 20, make 50 or $100, $5 a shot, be done by noon or 1. I got some money in my pocket, and do some stuff. You got, so like, how do you start thinking creative and not just doing the normal thing? So UGC, right? Figuring that out. Or, I was thinking about some of you in here, we talked last week, and I was thinking, some of you would make really good tutors. You know how much they pay at the did I tell you this already? How much they pay at the tutorial center? Like $20 an hour, and then 20 hours a week. It's like $400 a week, and half the time you're just sitting there with nobody to tutor, so you could do your own homework. Like, you got to start thinking about, like, okay, how do I do things smart? How do I make money, move the ball forward, use my time well? What's going to advance my career? What's going to look better on my resume? Another job, bussing tables, washing dishes, or hey, I was a tutor at a college. That's going to look pretty good. I was a tutor at a college. So you got to start thinking about that stuff. So that's the sharing economy, and then also into just kind of like this idea of freelancing, right? Then we talked about influencer marketing. That's how we got to UGC. Crisis mapping, whatever, right? Software that helps, solve crises when things are going bad. An algorithm. How many people have heard the word algorithm before in relation to computers? Yeah, say aye. So algorithm's a set of instructions. It's kind of a fancy word. It can sound fancy. Don't be intimidated by it. You all use algorithms every day for everything you do. You have a set of procedures, protocols that you follow to get stuff done. One of those is like your morning routine. You got your morning routine. It probably involves some eating and grooming, right? Like, we're kind of interesting animals. And, and you have an algorithm for influencing people. And we all approach influencing people in different ways. And some of us may not even be conscious of it. And most of us most of the time probably aren't, but we just have patterns of behavior that we run in different situations to achieve certain outcomes. And most of that's operating at an unconscious level. But these are all algorithms. We have an algorithm for paying our bills. Some people write checks. Some people do it digitally through their bank, right? There's different process that we use, but we go through these steps to accomplish a goal. That's what an algorithm is. It's a set of instructions. And so we write programs. When we write programs for computers, we're creating instructions or algorithms to tell the computer what to do. That's all an algorithm is. How many people gained a little insight into that word algorithm just hearing all that? Say aye. All right, good. The attention economy is really this idea that, how do we capture people's attention, and that's valuable. And so Meta, Facebook, Instagram made a lot of money from that. Google made a lot of money from that. You go there to search, but then you're seeing ads related to whatever you're searching. They'll sell you ads, right? If you're a business, you could go post ads and pay Google to have your ads show up when people search for certain stuff. And those ads happen in a auction format, meaning those who are willing to pay the most, right, win it. It's like an auction. And so some of the ads are super expensive. Like a Los Angeles accident attorney, going to pay $1,000 a click. What? But they'll make so much, right? Like if they win a $22 million lawsuit, fine, let's get that client in here, And they do the calculus. So if you could win 10 million off of a client, you get 10. Like, at what point does it become stupid to keep paying $1,000 a click? If we pay for 100 clicks, we paid 100,000. If we pay for 1,000 clicks, we paid $1 million. Well, if we pay for $1 million for 1,000 clicks, and then that turns into 10 customers, and then one of those customers makes us 10 million, that makes sense. We paid $1 million to get the customer that made us 10 million. All right, let's do it. Let's pay 1,000 a click.
1,000 a click?
1,000 a click, dude. And this is like 15 years ago. I looked that up. So you could go to Google Ads, and you could log in, and they used to show you how much the clicks would cost. I don't know if they do anymore, right? and they kind of protect it because this is leaking information. They don't want what's what?
It's like a Super Bowl commercial.
Super Bowl is more than that, man. I don't know, Super Bowl. And then information literacy. I don't know how that's different than computer literacy, other than computers are computers and information's information. And then like the other kind of phrase I'll add in here, because it's talking about Web 2.0, which is really talking about an era, is I'll add information age, right? The information age. And then I'm also going to add, I guess I'll add the age of understanding to the second one. So that's week 1, and then week 2 here, I'm going to add the age of understanding. And to week 1, I'm going to also add information age. I'm going to add 14, information overload. I'm not adding these so that you have to like go, oh my gosh, there's 2 more words. I got to go do no, you don't have to. You don't have to do the homework again. But the information age was really this era, this age of access to information. So before technology, like, back in the day, this is kind of interesting to reflect upon. I'm going to also add, like, myth of Prometheus and all that goes with that, because tech is a tool. And humans can use tools for socially beneficial purposes or socially detrimental purposes. And that's what the myth of Prometheus is about. We talked about it. But there are these eras of humanity. And these eras of humanity, there are turning points. And so how many people have heard the phrase hunters and gatherers? How many people have heard that phrase? Yeah. So back in the day, humans were hunters and gatherers, which means that we just kind of lived, we hunted, we gathered berries, we lived in tribes. That's kind of how we did it. This is the sort of traditional narrative, the history of humanity. I know there's alternative narratives, okay? And probably at some point we were doing that. And then, as the story goes, in broad strokes, humans invented the plow. And when they invented the plow, they were able to start farming. Or maybe farming came and then the plow came. That's probably how it happened. But at some point they said, hey, let's quit this wandering around stuff. Let's farm. And so they started farming, growing wheat, whatever. And then they invented the plow. And when the plow came along, it was a tool which allowed one person to produce a lot more than one person needed. And so then you started to get specialization. You started to get little villages, right? One person could farm and grow the wheat. One person could do the dairy. One person could be the blacksmith. One person could be the cobbler and make shoes, right? You started to get people specializing a little bit. But the plow was this turning point which unlocked the agricultural agrarian revolution, okay? And if you go, right, just whatever, did the plow did the invention of the plow create the agrarian revolution? Spelling. All right, did the invention of the plow create the agrarian? Yeah, the invention and widespread use of the plow was a major contributor to the agricultural revolution. But it would be more accurate to say it was one of several key technologies and changes that made the agricultural revolution possible. A little terminology, agrarian revolution, agricultural revolution are both used. The latter is more common. Okay, cool. Plow, more productive farming, food surplus, population growth, cities and civilizations. Okay? So that's, and look, here's this little thing, right? Hunters and gatherers, domestication of plants and animals, permanent settlements, agriculture, tools such as the plow and irrigation, food surpluses, population growth, towns, cities, civilizations, Netflix. Eventually, a big jump there, but that's how it went.
Netflix and chill.
So that's kind of like interesting just to reflect upon. It's interesting to reflect upon who we are as animals. Like, we're a trip-y animal, dude. We are a trippy animal. Like, we got emotional, is that what you said? Emotional, that's part of what makes us trippy? Maybe, right? Like, you don't see dogs often. Some dogs maybe get depressed because they're not running enough. I don't know. But you don't see dogs building airplanes, flying through the air, or like creating Teslas. Like, if they're a dog, like, imagine if some other animal was also creating technology. That'd be weird. Like, dude, the dogs came out with a better phone than us. Dang, I'm going to start using the dog phone, but it doesn't understand English. You can only use it in bark. We have Australian Labradoodles. I don't know why they're Australian Labradoodles. Somebody asked me, what makes them Australian? Are they from Australia? I was like, yeah, they're from Australia. And the thing that makes them Australian is they've got a funny accent when they bark, and they drink a lot of beer. And when they get drunk, they like to get in fights. I'm joking. I don't know if they're from Australia, but they are Australian Labradoodles. So anyhow, so the invention of the plow is a big turning point. And then another big turning point was like the printing press. Where does the printing press fit into that? Right? Give me that timeline with arrows, including the printing press. There we go. I think it's time for a drink. It's interesting the way you say things, right? Can convey meaning the way you say stuff. Do you know what actors do?
I think it's time for a drink.
Right? I think it's time for a drink. Like, the way you say stuff changes the meaning. Huh? I'm drinking water with like some little, I don't like alcohol, dude. I do not like alcohol. I don't know what you're talking about then. You know what actors do? So there's, you guys want a little tangent? Say aye. Okay, this is why I think acting is cool. Like, if I could go back and be 11, like my daughter, I would totally get into drama when I was in high school. But you need good teachers, because most people I've never taken drama classes, but this makes me want to do it. But my daughter actually is kind of into acting, so we've been learning about acting and stuff, and then we do like little acting stuff together where we do like improv, which is like just make it up acting, no script. And so there, in art, there's content. In everything in life, there's everything in life. In everything in life, this is important. You guys should probably all turn your monitor sideways. This is so important. This is a life lesson. It's a life lesson to take with you. And if you feel like, oh God, I got to turn my monitor. How many people feel like that? Say aye. Seriously? Fine, turn your monitor back. Miss the life lesson. Go ahead. You have free will. Turn it back. But everything in life has content and form. And then as a corollary to that, contrast makes life interesting. So here's the axiom. Who knows what an axiom is? Say aye. So an axiom is a truth. Right? A statement or principle that people accept as true without needing proof, serving as the starting point for further reasoning and logic. So here's an axiom. Everything in life has content and form, and as a corollary to that, their contrast makes things interesting. Right? So here's content and form. Right now, I'm delivering content. It's the words I'm saying. And then there's also form to the content I'm delivering. And that's how I'm saying these words. And I could take whatever words I'm saying and I could deliver them in totally different ways. Remember last week or 2 weeks ago, I read you that poem, which was like very philosophical and is like Hafiz and Pablo Neruda style. And I read it flat once, and then I also read it with intonation once. So the content's the content, and then the form is how I choose to convey it. You could do that when giving a speech. And guess what? When they study people who give speeches, what's more important, right? Like when somebody gives a speech, when a politician gives a speech, what's more important? What they say in terms of the impact it has on the audience, or how they say it? What's more important?
How they say it.
How they say it, man. Isn't that crazy? Like, we'll take somebody who's spouting out gibberish junk and doing it great. We'll take that over somebody who is like, that dude's like saying amazing stuff, but he bores the hell out of me. Get him off the stage, you know? I don't know what's up with that guy. He's like nervous, you know, like zero confidence, even though he might have the truth and the best course of action forward. Hey, guys, I think that what we should do with all of humanity is we need... Boo! Hang him off with his head! You know, like we don't even wait. You know, we're like, pull the lever! To the gallows with him! Throw the tomatoes! And then the other guy, who knows what he's saying. But you could see this. You know who's a great orator? Donald Trump. Donald Trump, listen to his speeches, dude. He's got the greatest speeches. I'm serious. Like, he is such a good... I don't care what you think of him as a politician or as a human. That dude can talk.
He is charismatic. I think it's kind of...
He's charismatic.
It's kind of a little worse, but he is very charismatic.
He's charismatic. You know, he's himself, for good or for bad. Comes out, you know, it doesn't matter if he's in the... Some politicians, they go to the South, they start talking with a little twang. Like, what are you doing? And that's natural for humans to kind of take on the culture that's around them because we want to fit in, so we do that naturally. We actually have in our brain something called mirror neurons, and mirror neurons are built so that we intentionally mirror the people we're with to create connection, and that's one of the ways we signal to each other with mirror neurons. Anyhow, but Donald Trump, he'll just be himself. There's a great speech Trump gave. I love this speech. What is the Trump speech he gave at midnight where he came out after a military operation and he was talking about killing some terrorist like a dirty dog? What's the name of that talk that he just improvised on the spot at midnight? Give me a YouTube link. This is like Al Jazeera Ghabib or something. And October 27th, 2019, ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Like, you've got to watch this speech. We did a military operation, and it went phenomenal. Those special forces, I've never seen anything like it. They don't use the front door. They just blew a hole in the wall. They went right in through the wall, and they went in, and not one of them got hurt, and they killed the worst, the dirtiest dog, the worst terrorist ever. They killed him. He died like a baby. He was crying like a little baby. They killed him. And then, like, I saw a comedian talking about this, and he's like, dude, I'd be crying like a little baby too. I'm asleep. The wall blows open. 12 German shepherds come in with night vision goggle on. I start crying like a little baby too. I'd be like, what is going on? You could be the most hardened terrorist in the world, and you get 12 German shepherds coming through your wall in the middle of the night with night vision goggles on. You're going to be crying, man. You know, but dude, I can't show it to you when I'm recording, but afterwards we'll watch a little of the speech. It's the greatest. Yeah, so you got to look that speech up on YouTube. And the great thing about that speech is Trump looks surprised. Like, it's like he was shown stuff he doesn't normally see. Like, they get live video from military operations. And he's just like, wow, that was amazing. That was like a really good movie. So we've gone through these different eras. And then we had the printing press. Okay, and so this was another turning point in the history of humanity. And just look at these printing presses, right? So I mean, this era of humanity here. It's really interesting to reflect upon. Hunters and gatherers, right? Agricultural revolution, population growth. You know, the plow, right? You can see the plow there at the top of the screen. Population growth, towns and cities, writing, governments. You know, social organization. Bronze and iron technologies, large-scale civilizations and empires, paper, right? 2nd century. I don't know what CE means. Is CE the new? Well, it used to be what AD, BC. Now it's CE instead of BC. Is that right? I think so. I think CE is like
Common era,
what
I
used to
suppose,
used to be BC, right? No, or is that
I'm not for sure. It's the exact same thing as AD.
CE is AD? Okay, so we're in CE. Whatever. I don't know why they changed it. Must not. Somebody must thought it wasn't politically
Well,
correct.
it's CE just means common era.
I came from a different
And
era.
then BCE is before common era. It's just the,
Oh, okay. I like
because
that.
the original
Okay.
one was with religious
Was
context. It's the same
Christian.
thing,
I get
they
it.
just made it a non-religious place.
I like it. Okay, that works for me.
Yeah.
Then we had the printing press, and the printing press is huge because before the printing press, people didn't have books, and they didn't have information. And if you wanted information before the printing press, you wanted a copy of a book, somebody had to copy it by hand, and that's what monks would actually do, is they just sit there and copy one book to blank pages and make another book, and it'd take them a long time. And it used to be a sign of royalty or wealth to have books, because that's really expensive. This took a year of somebody's life to make that book, for them to copy it, into another book or whatever. But then the printing press is like, anybody can have books. And so books became more ubiquitous. Information and knowledge became more ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means more readily available. It's found all over the place, ubiquitous. And right after the printing press, within 200 years, we had the scientific revolution, and we also had the Renaissance. And so some historians say that the invention of the printing press led to a flourishing in the arts, the Renaissance, and the sciences, scientific revolution. Some people say that the printing press led to a flourishing in the arts and the sciences, the scientific revolution, and then also the Renaissance. So as we gained more knowledge, more information, we were able to do more stuff, which totally makes sense, right? We became more educated. It unlocked more potential in art and in science for us. Okay, cool. So these turning points are super interesting. And you could see more of the turning points here as we invent stuff and as our eras progress. And I'm going to get back to content, form, and contrast here for a second. But the point is that we've gone, the information age was an era which was unlocked by computing power, computational power, by computers, by technology. And it used to be if you wanted information, you had to go to the library. And that was all the way up until 1998. If you wanted stuff, you had to get books. And then in 1998, if you wanted stuff, you just had to look things up online. And the original Web 1.0 was people would just create stuff and put it on. And then Web 2.0 was people created sites where anyone could upload stuff, like Wikipedia, right? Bless you.
They used to call it the super information highway. You remember that?
Yeah, information highway, right? So that's and then information age led to information overload, and we talked about this briefly already. And then this, I can't process all the information that's out there. And now we've created AI, which processes all the information that's out there and creates understanding. And so that's why I think of this new era that we're going into with AI as the age of understanding. Make sense? Okay. Last bit I'm going to say about content and form, and then I'll say a little bit about contrast. But content and form is everywhere. It's how we speak. And this is what actors do. I never finished this thought. They will work on the form. This is an acting exercise. They'll work on the form and get rid of all content. And so they'll speak gibberish. But then how they speak it is the important part, the form that they're giving it. It's not what they're saying, it's how they're saying it. And you could sometimes you could do it like a game, like charades, where the audience, your friends, whoever, people in your class, if you're in an acting class, have to figure out what is it you're doing, what kind of a situation are you in, based upon how you're talking. Or they might give you a situation, right? Like you are working at an animal shelter and you're trying to convince a bunch of dogs who you've let out into the yard that it's time to come in. And then you have to do that without using language, just gibberish, but how you do it, you know? And it might be like, right? Like you kind of get what I'm doing, the form, even if you don't understand the content. And then content and form goes to art. Like in art, like they look at like, okay, what is it you're conveying, the content, and what form did you use? Impressionism for art is one type of form. Pointillism is another type of form. I don't know what other art. Realism is another form, right? There's different forms conveying the same content, the same picture could take on. And also even like how you present yourself, how you dress. How many people have heard the phrase dress for success, right? So the content, Todd McLeod, is the same, but the form can look really different, right? So here is one way I present myself, and this would send a different message, right? Like this is like I'm single and it's Friday night at the bar and I'm off work, right? But when I'm at work, that button, right? So content and form, and that's social signaling. And so we're all always social signaling. What kind of eye contact do you make? How pleasant are you? How do you dress? Is your haircut nice? And so that's form, the form you're giving to the content, which is you. You want it to be good form or bad form? What kind of message you want to convey? And then contrast is also really interesting. You know, so contrast just is the corollary to content and form. So there's what you say and how you say it. And then there's contrast. And contrast grabs people's attention because it's disconnected, it's disjointed. So, just trying to think like where that, so in art, that's really like in Raging Bull, which is a movie. There's a boxer at the beginning of this Martin Scorsese film, Raging Bull, and he's shadow boxing, but Martin Scorsese filmed it in black and white, and he filmed it slow-mo, and he put it to opera music, which is like more like something you do with ballet. So he took this boxer and, contrasted it with opera and slow-mo to make it kind of beautiful. And it's like, oh, that's a different way to think about boxing. It's like ballet, so that kind of contrast. So that's content and form. All right, in the next video, we're going to talk about chapter 2. But before we do that, if you're at home watching these, you need to go watch the Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi video on YouTube. We're going to watch it right now, and we'll see you in the next video. Or you'll see us in the next video.